From the Clark Ford Studio in Oxford, Mississippi, MBW Digital proudly presents the Oxford Exxon Podcast.
I'd say thanks for tuning in, but why am I going to give you a round of applause for something that you're supposed to do, to be frank?
And now, here are your hosts, Chase Parham.
And broadcast school has really paid off.
And Neal McCready.
I deserve to be on TV.
Monday, Oxford Exxon Podcast. Chase Parham, Neal McCready, Clark Ford Studio this morning. Talk a little more about Ole Miss and Alabama. The Tide over the Rebels 62-7 in Oxford on Saturday night. Kent State up next. That is Saturday at 11 a.m. for a kick in that one. We'll go through lines today. We'll talk about a little injury news as well. Montrell Custis out for the year with an ACL injury. We all kind of saw that happen over near the Ole Miss sideline late in the in the game against Alabama there. So Matt Luke will discuss that and more at his press conference today at 11:30, as always on Mondays. Coordinators as well with Longo and McGriff. A lot of coverage up at rebelgrove.com. Sunday Countdown, Neal's 10 Thoughts. Post-game coverage, Russell with a look ahead at future opponents. And also we'll have PFF grades and more later today as well. So great time to be a subscriber at rebelgrove.com. Do that if you haven't. And also when you're coming into town, third weekend in a row, Oxford Exxon, Highway 6 West in Oxford. Let them handle your tailgate. Plenty of options from 3 slabs of ribs to a couple pounds of pulled pork to quart-size sides and more there with the Oxford Exxon. Take advantage of all those options, including the bottomless refill, 49-cent bottomless refills on stadium cups at the Oxford Exxon. And again, coming to you from the Clark Ford Studio.
We are. Clark Ford is in Amory, Mississippi. The phone number is 662-257-1900, 662-257-1900. Call the number, ask for Corey Clark, and tell Corey what new Ford you're looking for. Maybe ask for a couple of quotes. He'll do that as well. I've done that. And you get your quotes within 15 minutes in business hours. It's right to the bottom line. There's no haggling. It's really a great way to do it because it allows you to sit down with your quote, play with numbers, play with your budget, get an idea of what you want to do without having to come back and do all that stuff where you're, hey, can you get $30 off here? And can you? It's going to be right to the bottom line. He's going to give it to you. So at that point, you can do the thing where you shop around, or you can go to Corey and go ahead and let him take the hassle out of the everyday car buying experience. Here's the part that doesn't show up in the bottom line. Great service after the sale. It's a great car buying experience. Delivery options. Corey wants to be your car guy. He wants to be your truck guy. He wants it to be a long-term relationship. To prove it, tell Corey that you heard about Clark Ford on the podcast. You'll save $500 off the already great bottom line of Clark Ford and Amory, 662-257-1900. I'm looking forward to this podcast. There's a lot to get to.
I'll let you start wherever you want to. I do have one anecdote for a second verse, though. Sure. We've been real consistent about this, and as much as everybody's made fun of, including Alabama players on the field, the whole land shark and the defense thing and everything going on, at the end of the day, mascots are for kids. That's been our purpose from A1. We're never going to deviate from that. It's all about, that's why we would have picked big fluffy mascots instead of athletic mascots. And I get the thought process, but we would have just picked a big stuffed animal and put him out there for kid purposes.
And watching him on the field, I'm more convinced that I'm right.
Yeah, I think the San Jose mascot would have been a better looking mascot for the thing. Yeah. Point being, though.
Okay.
So yesterday I am having to sweat out a Saints home game against the Cleveland Browns of all teams. Saints trailed throughout much of the game.
It's a win.
It was a win. Took a kicker missing an extra point and 2 field goals, or 2 extra points and 2 field goals, or something like that. But nonetheless,
in December,
it was a win.
It won't matter. It's a win.
That's true. It's a win. So watching the game, Carly Ann, who's 2.5 now, comes in the living room and kind of sits down on the couch, just messing with something. And, it's the Saints-Browns. Just football's on. She has no idea. Starts asking me where the shark is yesterday. Now, she's 2, so her favorite song in the world that she goes around the house singing is that little baby shark thing, and it's nonstop, and she'll sing it in her head. I don't know that Ole Miss necessarily wants its land shark associated with baby shark, as apt as that may be at the moment. But
I had a friend text me during the game and say, remember that song Bubble Guppies? And I said, yeah. She said that would be more appropriate.
Instead of the Jaws theme.
Instead of the Jaws, they should just play the theme from Bubble Guppies.
But point being, Carly Ann with the Shark has been to one football game. She did not go to the Alabama game. She went to the Southern Illinois game last week, as we talked about the look on her face at halftime.
Yeah.
She has no idea what's going on in a football game. She's 2. But point being,
she's not alone.
She picked out the Shark and watched a football game yesterday and asked where the Shark was. For Ole Miss, that's a win.
Of course.
That's a win.
Of course.
I mean,
of course. You tie heartstrings.
That's the point.
They don't all make it to 18. They don't all not make it to 18.
Except because of that song, it was the perfect animal for her at the time. But point being,
there's more to it. But
yeah.
Sure.
Okay, just
because what the hell else is a 3-year-old going to watch? The Zone Blitz? I mean, give me a break. Little kids go to Alabama games and watch Big Al.
Yeah.
Look at the elephant walking around. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
I've watched. We used to joke about it. You know, college. You know better than most people how college baseball games can drag.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't tell you how many Sundays at Plainsman Park watching the third game of a 3-game series where neither team has any pitching left, and the game's going forever, and we start watching little kids lining up to get to Aubie. And we're making jokes about parents sending their child to be eaten by a tiger and stuff like that. We're goofing around in the press box. But the point is, all those kids, they were there to see Aubie, not to see a curveball.
Yeah.
Not to see a home run. They wanted to see Aubie. Mascots work. There's a reason mascots work. Campbell doesn't care about sports. She still cheers for the Thunder. Cheers for the Thunder because when she was a little girl, she really, really, really liked Rumble. A lot.
And because you might have a slight emotional attachment to the Thunder.
But she liked Rumble.
Yeah. So, that was it. Go ahead.
So there's a lot to get to.
All right.
From this game.
Okay.
There's a lot.
Yep.
And I'm going to start with something that you wrote yesterday morning.
All right.
And I'm a little mad at myself that I wasn't the first to write it.
Okay.
Not because I want the credit, but because it's the truth, and you wrote it in a way that I think I've been trying to think it, and I didn't write it, and you wrote it in a kind of a simple way, and I thought, well, yeah, that's exactly right, and I should have written it that way a long time ago. This thing about the defense, Ole Miss's defense is bad. Ole Miss's defense is statistically bad. Ole Miss's defense is visibly bad. Ole Miss's defense is bad. So people try to come up with the reason why the defense is bad.
Quote, reason.
Yes, reason. And I said that word singular for a reason. Exactly. It doesn't have to be, as Chase Parham wrote yesterday morning, an or thing. It's an and thing. It's not, well, are they bad because the coaching is bad, or are they bad because the players are bad? Are they bad because the coaching isn't good and the scheme is not good, or are they bad because the players are not talented enough? It is possible, and I would submit likely, that it's both. This won't make us any friends in that building. I'll say it on the record. There is absolutely no sign through a year and a quarter that Wesley McGriff is qualified for this job.
Ole Miss currently ranks 127th out of 130 teams in total defense, yielding 543 yards per game.
And that is a benefit. They benefited from the fact that Alabama
They're 125th nationally in scoring defense.
They benefited because Alabama stopped.
107th against the run, 125th against the pass, 117 in pass protection, getting to the quarterback, the defensive stat.
All numbers that are abysmal. Now, let me defend Wesley McGriff after saying that. If I gave Wesley McGriff Alabama's players, those numbers would go up. They would get better. They would get better. I think Matt Luke, and I wrote this in 10 Thoughts, I think he is approaching a point in the season where he has to address this. I don't think one loss is the place where you have to address it.
Yeah, because it's not about Alabama. I mean, I know that was the most recent thing, but that's not a measuring stick for Ole Miss right now.
No.
It's just not. We talked about grading on curves last week. Alabama is not the measuring stick at the moment. When Alabama becomes the measuring stick again, either Nick Saban's going to be gone or Ole Miss's program is going to be in really, really good shape, one or the other.
Yes.
So as of right now, that's not the point. Where Ole Miss is having issues defensively is that it's no matter who they are playing. Literally. I mean, I had this stat in my story yesterday. Ole Miss has allowed at least 21 points in 22 straight games. So almost 2 straight seasons of never allowing a team under 21 points. That is the lead nationally by 7 games, more than half a season. And SMU, of all people, is second at 15.
I have a homework assignment for you.
Yeah,
I'll do it here. You take your time.
Yeah.
It can be in a week. It can be 2 weeks. I don't. Pull the numbers when you get a chance, starting with the first game of last season.
Okay.
Don't go any deeper than that.
Just go the tenure with this head coach and these coordinators.
Yes.
Okay.
Forget everything that ever happened before that.
Okay.
Whenever.
What do you want?
Where they rank.
You want national ranks defensively?
Yes.
Oh, I can do that pretty easily. That's not a big deal. That many straight games. To add to that, SEC play, which what we're talking about, you got to play 8 of these a year. It's even worse. Ole Miss has given up 28 points or more in 15 consecutive SEC games, which basically is 2 seasons. That's 1 game away from 2 seasons.
Yeah.
The next closest, the only current streaks going. This is before Saturday. Maybe somebody had one Saturday. 11 and 5. Those are Arkansas and Tennessee.
Right.
Those are even the only streaks going, and Ole Miss is at 15 games. I mean, it just I know it's in some ways it's beating a horse here.
No, there's horses that need to be beaten.
But my point being, it's so baffling that you have to provide this for just the context of it at this point. It's kind of the point here.
There's a thread on rebelgrove.com, and we're going to jump around a little, but we're all on the same theme.
Ole Miss has allowed 400 or more total yards 11 times in the last 15 games. They've allowed 500 yards or more in 6 of the last 15. Both those obviously leading the conference.
There's a thread on the board saying, Neal, stop blaming Hugh Freeze. You can't stop blaming Hugh Freeze.
Well, there was a reader lack of comprehension there, where they say stop blaming it all on Hugh Freeze, and we've never blamed it all on Hugh Freeze. Ever.
I'm not. But I will tell you that I talked to someone pretty high up yesterday. We were talking about how Ole Miss got here and how it's going to get worse. This is not rock bottom. This is not rock bottom. And I know that is a hard thing to hear as a fan. I get it. I understand why there will be pushback to that. Next year will be worse. It is almost impossible for next year not to be worse. And you can't look at this roster and look at this team without putting a significant share of the blame on Hugh Freeze.
Yeah, you can make the argument, I guess. I haven't really looked at the roster close enough. I probably should. You can make the argument that defensively they're a little better next year, but you also would make the same argument the offense could fall off a cliff next year.
Yeah, and I'm not prepared to do this with the defense either, because they're going to lose some guys who are at least played a lot.
I just assume another year Ruggs is pretty good. Keydron Smith is pretty good. Jaquez Jones is better. You know what I mean? There's enough athleticism in that freshman class that makes me think a year later they have more dynamic people on the field.
It's a real interesting place where Matt is right now. And Matt, to his credit, and I mean to his everlasting credit, has not blamed Hugh Freeze. And maybe that's because he was on that staff and he feels like he can't.
Yeah, Matt doesn't have the disconnect normally provided a new coach.
So, anyway, this person said that Freeze admitted in private circles his last 2 recruiting classes that they did not do enough defensively in recruiting and that they were, quote, in trouble, end quote. Freeze blamed it on giving too much autonomy to the then defensive staff. I think that's the reason that Dave Womack's very careful with what he says. I think there's some animosity there.
Fair.
I don't buy that, by the way. When you're the head coach, the recruiting class is yours. It's your class. If you're the head coach and you're only focused on the offensive side of recruiting, that's on you. And frankly, that's on Sean Toohey. And the people who hired Hugh Freeze, because that's a sign that he didn't get it. But anyway, here they are, and this is where they are, and this is back to your point about and/or. Matt Luke didn't hire Wesley McGriff. Now, he retained him, and so at this point, Wesley McGriff is his defensive coordinator. And if Wesley McGriff is going to stay his defensive coordinator, they've got to get better and get better fast on defense. Because at some point, Matt, and I think we're at that point, Matt can no longer, not that he has, but even in private circles, blame Hugh Freeze for leaving him with Wesley McGriff. Hugh Freeze hasn't coached a game at Ole Miss since 2016. It's 2018. The staff is now on Matt. The players on that field, if you will, and it's hard as a fan to not love your laundry and love your guys. I do it with the Cubs. Chase does it with the Saints. I get it. I totally understand it. I love Addison Russell. I really want Addison Russell to be the best shortstop in baseball. It would make me happy. I like watching Addison Russell play because he wears a Cub uniform. If Addison Russell wore a Padres uniform right now, I wouldn't even notice him. And that's reality. So if you can provide that disconnect in your mind, you'll understand that they don't have the talent on defense to be competitive right now. It's a real challenging deal for coaches. People say, who's calling the plays? I don't know. My assumption is McGriff. Is there anybody who on that current staff who would shake it up? I don't know enough about them to know whether a different coach would call the defensive game differently.
And some of that matters and some of that doesn't matter, which is kind of where we're going here. It is no doubt how they're coaching in certain ways. There's no doubt it's just straight athleticism from a talent standpoint, period. I mean,
someone asked me on the message board yesterday, Chase, so you're saying it's Steve Willis, who's a friend of both of ours.
Yeah.
I love Steve. He's a great dude. He said, so you're saying that he was about Troy or Southern Illinois. Are you saying Troy has more offense, more talent, more athleticism on offense than Ole Miss has on defense? And I said, yes, that's what I'm saying. You have a fascinating stat that someone else accumulated this morning. You came in the house today.
Yeah, I'll find it. Go ahead, finish the thought.
Telling me with it, and it backs it up. It is about talent. It is absolutely about talent. It's about coaching too, and I think it can be both, but it is about talent.
Yeah, I found this, and I'll give full credit here because I haven't checked this at all. I have no idea, but I'm going to take his word for it. Tucker Italiano on Twitter used to cover some Ole Miss recruiting for some different people, including maybe the Rebel Walk. He was looking at his premise, which, again, if these stats are correct, is 100% accurate. He says the talent disparity for Ole Miss and good or great defenses. He says, quote, I maintain Ole Miss won't get to a top 40 defense again until that number goes about 10 at least. Otherwise, there's a ceiling, and it's not high. And the number he's speaking of is defensive players rated 4-star or 5-star in high school. Recruiting prospects, 4- and 5-star, the top 300-ish prospects in the country, the elite players in every class.
Yeah.
And again, I don't know if it's his rivals. I don't know if it's his 24/7. I don't know if it's a combination of the two. Don't really care. Not the point.
Fair enough.
Whatever it is, it still is relatable for every program, so it doesn't really matter. Alabama leads the way at 31. Georgia at 29. LSU at 27. Auburn at 21. Tennessee at 19. A&M at 15. Florida at 14. Carolina at 12. Carolina at 13. State at 12. Kentucky at 7. Arkansas at 6. Missouri at 4. Vanderbilt at 4. Ole Miss at 3.
This is on defense.
This is defense. 3. Less talented than Vanderbilt from a recruiting standpoint, judging by this, than Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt, who has never, at least in the rivals era, never signed a top 100 player. Ever.
On Ole Miss's defense, highly recruited players. Benito Jones.
Very highly recruited.
I'm thinking. Jalen Jones, who's not on the field now.
Yeah, and see, I don't know how he factors into this. I don't know the semantics of how this list was.
But I'm trying to think of guys who were like 4-star players on Rivals that are on this defense now. Was Sanogo? He wasn't 4 stars, was he?
It was close. Jalen Jones was.
Yeah, Jalen was a high recruited player.
Yeah. I mean, that 16 class, which was the class that had all the offensive stars in it. Defensively, that class was Benito. Like, Charles Wiley was a 4-star. I bet he doesn't factor in because he doesn't play. So, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you're not getting something out of the talent, or it's a bust one way or the other. I'm assuming we're discussing main contributors here is the way that this thing was put together. Jalen Jones, Deontay Anderson, and Charles Wiley. Those were 4 or 5 stars in that class. Deontay obviously gone now. Duh. This is judging by Rivals again. I don't know how it was different than whatever.
But yeah, I mean,
in the 2017 class, Mohamed Sanogo was a 4-star.
okay.
Cam White was a 4-star. He's not playing really. Chester Graves not here. Javonte, and then sorry, that's it. Breon Dixon not here. Those were the 4 stars in that class. And then in the 18 class, the most recent.
Yeah.
And again, these guys are true freshmen. Let's see. Where are the 4 stars cut? Noah Jefferson was the only defensive 4-star in the 18 class.
And he's not here.
So let me go back to the 15 class just one more time. This will be the older guys. See who's here. He's gone. Offense. He's gone. None in the 15 class. That's it. That is the class of 4- and 5-star defensive players for Ole Miss.
And I hate doing this because it feels like I'm the guy saying I told you so. And I don't want to be that guy, but I've been saying for a while that they're not talented on defense, and they're not. And I get people that send, and you know where I'm going with this. I get people that say to me, well, Neil, you admit you don't watch a lot of football. You're right. And Chase will vouch for me here. There are probably things about me that drives Chase crazy. He probably likes this part of me. I will admit that I'm not an expert, and then I'll spend my Sundays talking to people who are. So Saturday night, I get in my car, and I get a call from someone who is a football expert. He goes, hey, are you still up? I'm like, yeah, man, I'm leaving the stadium. And he says, how'd they get that bad? And I said, what do you mean? And he goes, on defense, how'd they get that bad? And I said, will you tell me what you saw? And he said, well, I don't like their scheme. I would scheme it differently. And he goes, but they're so slow. And they're so small. How did they get so slow and so small? And I said, well, I guess they recruited guys that weren't big and fast. And he kind of laughed, and he goes, man, sometimes it is a simple game. And he basically just said, watch that first drive or two. Go back and watch that first drive or two and look at the holes. Look at the pursuit lanes. He said, Damian Harris just runs by that linebacker.
Yeah, I'll go there in a second because I included some of that yesterday and kind of give you my thoughts on that part of it. Before we do that, tell you quickly, the podcast is also brought to you by Locker Stockers, taking the hassle out of stocking your locker or your suite for this football season. Hope you're taking advantage of it. If not, several home games still remaining, including this week against Kent State for an 11 a.m. Probably would like some product up there. They can take care of it. Purchase and delivery to that locker or suite before game day. And also maybe some discounts if you tell me you heard about it on the podcast. 662-586-1487 or info@lockerstockers.com.
How well do you know your credit? Brian McLaurin is an experienced attorney offering a unique, highly personalized service to not only repair credit but also educate clients on the ever-changing world of credit. He will work with you for an entire year to help you create a personalized plan to raise your credit score to help meet your financial goals. No one else offers this kind of personalized credit counseling. It's why Gambrell and Associates refer their clients to Brian to get a fresh start. So whether you're looking to fight off debt collectors, get approved for home car loans, or for that luxury credit card, let Brian McLaurin get your credit fixed and teach you how to take control of your credit. Brian provides you the valuable information he has acquired through years of experience and research. It allows Brian to offer a unique, personalized service for anyone in any state, as he is always available to his clients by phone and email, and he's ready to work with you. Contact Brian at bhmclaurinlaw@gmail.com or call him at 662-298-2029. I'd like to welcome a new advertiser to the show. This podcast now also brought to you in part by John Edwards of Regency Travel Incorporated in Memphis. Have you been thinking about that golf trip with the guys that you'll never forget? Or maybe that anniversary trip she'll never forget? Whether you've dreamed of playing St. Andrews or sitting at a cafe in Paris, talk to John Edwards before you try to do it by yourself. Why use John? Well, he's a part of Virtuoso, a worldwide network of travel partners that allows John to supply his clients with added values and unique benefits that are simply not available to other travelers. John traveled the globe for 37 years before getting into the travel business, so he knows the extra attention needed to make a special trip one that creates a lifetime of unique memories. So if you're thinking about going with the guys to Pebble Beach or taking her to Napa for the vacation of her dreams, call John, give him some parameters and a budget, and let him give you some options. And know this, you don't have to live in or near Memphis to take advantage of his services. Call John at 901-494-3387 or send him an email at jedwards@regencytravel.net. First-time clients can save $50 off their first booked trip just by telling John you heard about Regency Travel on the podcast. Also, another reminder, youth basketball registration and the Oxford Park Commission is underway. It's going until basically the end of the month, the first part of next month. Sign your son or daughter up for one of their leagues. The age range is 5 to 15. The cost is $50. The season begins December the 4th. Last year, there were 600 kids that took part in the leagues. The numbers are expected to be similar this year. So don't miss your opportunity. Sign up for OPC Youth Basketball at www.oxfordparkcommission.com.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned that play. I included it in what I wrote yesterday morning, and it's maybe there's several bad, but it's one of the worst parts of covering college sports is you immediately feel like you're talking about kids in a bad way, and you're not. It's just when you're covering it, this is part of the thing. And I mean, I give Mohamed Sanogo a lot of credit because more often than not, he's in the right place. Yeah. He's trying to direct traffic for a lot of guys that aren't getting signals. He's in charge of traffic control for, as C.J. Moore said on Saturday night, guys that are completely missing calls in the back seven a lot of times. So it's a thankless job in a lot of ways when he's also physically having to do what he's being required to do.
He might be thinking so much that it's slowing him down.
But in a play, it was Alabama's first touchdown when the Harris kid ran for the touchdown yesterday. I don't remember if it was Damian or Najee.
It was Damian, 34.
Okay. So they're both pretty good.
Yeah.
He was put in a bad situation with a one-on-one on Harris, partly because of scheme and partly because the defensive ends crashed so hard it left a one-on-one there. It was multifaceted.
But it exposed him in the open.
Yeah, right. The point being, now look, most linebackers are going to lose a one-on-one against Harris. But
Harris is going to play in the NFL for a good while.
But that is what drove the gap so often, is that Sanogo could not get to that spot necessary to either corral him or bring help along the way.
And the safety didn't get there either.
Yeah. So that's a play that a lot of people have been pointing to from Saturday, and there were multiple reasons why it did what it did for Alabama. Some talent, some not talent.
Yeah, it's both.
Completely.
What you wrote yesterday was exactly right. It's both. It's not an or, it's an and. And believe me, I'm not picking on fandom here. I have fandom.
A little bit.
I mean, I wanted to fire Joe Madden after he let Pedro Strop hit.
You did.
I wasn't alone, but I did. It's nonsensical.
Probably a little short-sighted, but
I get fandom. That's my point. I get it. And you never want to talk about, maybe my guys just aren't good enough. But they're not. And that's why when people say, well, you can't blame Freeze, the hell I can't. I absolutely can blame Freeze. They didn't recruit well those last few years on the defensive side of the ball, and the evidence is right there in the recruiting list. I blame Freeze for the NCAA thing more than I blame Matt Ball, more than I blame Lee Tyner, more than I blame anybody else over there. I blame Hugh Freeze. When the NCAA guy shows up at your door in February or March of 2013, you don't threaten him with physical violence or verbal violence, and you don't read Bible verses at him. You say, yes, sir, no, sir. When the police officer pulls you over, even though you're pissed at the redneck police officer or the big meathead police officer who straddles up like that, has got registration, you don't say, hey, what's your problem? Unless you want it to escalate. You say, yes, sir, it's right here. Can I hand it to you, sir? Any particular reason you're going so fast? I'm sorry, sir. I really do. That's irresponsible of me to go that fast. That's the answer. I'm very sorry. I guess I wasn't paying attention. I'm very sorry. It's real dangerous out here. Need to be real careful. You know, son's good. You know, when the cop calls you son, you can be a smart ass and say, you're not my dad. You're escalating. Or you can just say, yes, sir. And then when he closes his door and he goes back in there and he turns his lights off and he takes off to go get the next guy, you can take your ticket and you can pay it and you can say, you dumb son of a blah, 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 I hope you blah, 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 and you can let it all go and no one's going to hear you. You can call your best friend, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your wife, your husband, your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, and you can say, let me tell you about this dumb son of a blah, 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 blah. And you can get it all out. You'll pay your ticket, and you'll move on. That's not what Ole Miss did when the police showed up. It's kind of the irony. I think it's why Ross Bjork gets kind of frustrated at us sometimes when we say you should have fought back harder. In reality, it went bad because they didn't. They fought back.
Well, there's a difference in fighting back and in not helping. I mean, yeah, that's two different things.
But at the beginning...
Hey, you only had me at a 68. Well, actually, I was going 76. Hold on, let me prove it right here to you.
But at the beginning, it was, hey, do something about Barney.
Yeah.
Now, I tell you what we're going to do about Barney. We're going to double down on Barney. It's stuff like that. It's the whole damn thing was a colossal. It was an example of a guy who's a pretty good football coach who was not prepared to be a CEO at this level. Now, Hugh Freeze might learn a lot and get another opportunity and be really good at his next place. Because unlike a lot of people, I actually do think he's a pretty good football coach, especially on the offensive side of the ball where it shows. But they did not recruit defensive players at the end, guys, and it's on the roster. It's in front of you. That's his recruiting class. Those are his recruiting classes.
Before I go into lines in a minute, I'll buy you a beer if you name the Kent State head coach's name.
I love beer, but it looks like I'll be buying my next beer because I couldn't begin to tell you. I actually watched a little of their game against Penn State the other day.
All right, let's play this game real quick. I'm going to go into picks in a second. I've got the email up for the MAC coaches call in for the week.
I'm going to do so bad.
I would have gotten 1, 2, 3.
Read me the names. Let me see if I can do it.
Well, I'm going to give you the school and then make you give me the name. Or do you want the names and the school?
Yeah, read me the school. Let me see if I can do it.
All right, hold on. I would have only gotten 3 and then 4 if you would have given me multiple choice. Because once I saw that name, I went, yeah, that's that guy, but okay. I couldn't have pulled that out of my head.
All right.
Who is the head coach at Akron?
That's Terry Bowden.
Good. 1 for 1.
Yes, sir.
Who is the coach at Toledo? You should know this.
Jason Candle.
Good, yeah, that's good. Who is the coach at Northern Illinois?
Northern Illinois.
This is the one I would have gotten the multiple choice on.
That is Bobby Johnson.
That is Rod Carey.
That was my next guess.
Eastern Michigan.
That is Ricky San Antonio.
His last name is the school that hosts the College World Series.
Ricky Omaha.
Creighton. Close. Chris Creighton.
Chris Creighton.
Central Michigan.
Would be Donnie O'Sullivan.
John Bonamago.
Oh, yes.
Him too.
Him too.
Ohio University.
Ohio, Frank Solich.
That is correct. That's the other one I would have gotten.
Hey!
Miami of Ohio.
Miami of Ohio. That would be George O'Connell.
That would be Chuck Martin.
Chuck Martin.
Kent State.
Kent State. Kent State is Richard Alexander.
Sean Lewis.
Sean Lewis.
Buffalo.
Buffalo. Oh. I think
You actually know this one?
I might. Oh, this one rings a bell. Hold on.
Okay. It's not Turner Gill anymore.
Is it still? Is it a young African American guy?
I don't know him.
Oh man. Nah, I mean,
Again, it's not Turner Gill anymore.
Okay. Sean Dempsey.
Lance Leopold.
I did not know that one.
That was not it?
No.
Bowling Green. Your guys that don't wear green in their uniforms.
Bowling Green.
That was a point of contention 3 years ago on the podcast.
It was. Bowling Green is Danny
Mike Jinks.
Tomakovitz.
Mike Jinks.
Jinks.
Ball State.
Billy Randolph.
Mike New. Western Michigan to close it out.
Western Michigan.
Whatever. Is this where P.J. Fleck was before?
I think so.
Is this where he rode the boat first?
I think this is where the boat started. The coach at Western Michigan is Chris Russell.
The coach at Western Michigan is Tim Lester. So you hit exactly how I would have hit. Three names. I don't know whether to be impressed or mortified that Russell would have probably gotten like 9 of those correct. Oh, we've gone through them.
Russell's going to get fired up this week.
He knows MAC football, and it kind of freaks me out a little bit.
He knows that MAC football.
He probably would be a resource for Jeffrey during the week. Just saying.
Chris Russell.
So tell me about that Western Michigan Buffalo game on Tuesday night on ESPN 2. Lines for the week. Let's see what we
you
got.
never did pay up the bet.
Send me wherever you want to send me.
We need to send you to a MAC game in the ice cold.
So in November, I get to go to a MAC game?
Yeah, I'm looking into that.
The off week for Ole Miss?
Send you to like Buffalo.
Go the off week for Ole Miss. It's like late October.
Yeah.
Buffalo.
Send you
Is that where I should go?
Yeah, that'd be fun.
I'll look at that schedule in a minute while we're reading ads. All right. Let's see. The 2 most different places on earth, Washington State at Southern Cal this weekend.
The players get there and like, I ain't leaving.
I'm staying here.
Staying here.
So this is what it would like if I actually was a good recruit, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's kind of like when the Cubans come here for a baseball game. I ain't leaving.
Literally.
Yeah. Staying. Hiding in the hotel.
I think it was Godwin told me, when Team USA, the collegiate national team, went to Cuba for that series over the summer, like he had no cell phone service. Like it was, just tons of things that you wouldn't even think about that they had nothing. I mean, there were no amenities
that
whatsoever.
Would freak me out.
Yeah, just nothing. You're just kind of there.
I'd be a little afraid that I'm going to be there.
You look at the schedule and you go, so we're going to Cuba, huh? All right, we feel good about this?
Yeah, I'd be a little afraid I'd be the next in the scene from Taken.
Oh. Okay. Harvard plays Brown this weekend.
Okay.
You a Brown or a Crimson fan?
Right now.
Who is your Ivy League team? You don't really have one?
I sometimes cheer for Dartmouth a little bit for some reason.
Why?
I like the green.
What is it with you and either green or no green?
I like green.
Does any SEC team have green?
No.
Yeah, that's right. The Mean Green showed out Saturday, though.
They did, boy. Oof.
Was that fake punt or the punt return?
That was really good.
SB Nation did a really good job on it. They talked to the special teams coach and the returner about how many people had to be involved with that to pull it off, because you got to make sure the offense doesn't run on the field too. Like there's so many different elements to make sure that guy, and the punt returner's got to have a lot of confidence because he is a complete sitting duck to get hammered.
Oh, because if someone figures it out for Arkansas in
you're
this situation,
getting annihilated.
It's a free shot. Boom.
I mean, just
a hit you will remember for the rest of your existence.
And you have to take a defensive position. You have to kind of slump your shoulders back and just go, okay, and just stand there.
Ooh.
Oh, I mean, with an SEC gunner running at you. So, anyway. Let's see. What we got for the week? Not many early SEC games as I'm scanning through the schedule here. Florida State, by the way, sucks. They're at home against Northern Illinois, 10.5-point favorites against the Huskies this weekend. Speaking of the MAC, Urban Meyer returns against Tulane, 35 points for that one. Clemson, 17 points at Georgia Tech this weekend as I'm scrolling through the list.
That's free.
Notre Dame, 7.5 at Wake Forest this weekend. Virginia, a 4-point favorite over Louisville at home this weekend. Just kind of seeing that. Let's see. Stanford and Oregon play this weekend. Here we go. Florida and Tennessee, which was the game of the SEC 20 years ago.
It was.
Florida and Tennessee. Now I've kind of lost it. There it is.
I'm going to guess Florida on the road is a 5.5-point favorite.
You're pretty close. It is a 5.5 in one place. It opened at 4.5, and then it's moving between 4.5 and 5.5, depending on your book.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's good. Florida, 5.5 at Tennessee.
My
currently.
initial inclination, and I reserve the right to.
I think I'm laying as of right now.
My initial is to lay them. I think Tennessee is bad.
I thought UTEP was an indictment on Tennessee Saturday. They literally just couldn't score.
I was on the Peloton riding with no volume, watching Tennessee and UTEP, and it was not impressive.
So you were the one.
It was boring.
Where was I? Because I saw a decent amount of that game.
Did you do some Grove stuff Saturday?
No. Gosh, no. I don't know. I did see a little bit of that game, though.
It was early.
I don't know. Real quick, before we get into a little more of that, just take quickly the Community Mortgage, one of our longtime partners here, Oxford, Memphis, Seto County, and Chattanooga, a leader in condo financing in Oxford now, and all underwriting and processing is done in Memphis. So you can local underwriting and understand your market and the float-down option, 662-234-2704 or JLOWE, JLOWE at communitymtg.com.
We're also brought to you by Grenada Nissan, like community. They've been with us a long time. Grenada Nissan, located just off Interstate 55 in Grenada, Mississippi, a complete selection of new and previously owned Nissan vehicles, great lease deals as well. Test drive one today. Tell Gene and Sandy that you heard about them on the podcast, and you'll save Rebel savings on top of the already great deals at Grenada Nissan. It's GrenadaNissanUSA.com. Chase mentioned my 10 weekend thoughts. They're up on rebelgrove.com. Rebelgrove.com is part of the Rivals Network. We write for it sometimes. We actually put things up on the site in written form, like notebooks and graphs and stats and columns and opinions and all sorts of stuff, picks, mailbags. It's all there at rebelgrove.com, part of the Rivals Network. We would encourage you to subscribe. My 10 weekend thoughts are sponsored by Harry Alexander. Harry is an Oxford-based RE/MAX Legacy Realty agent. He's been in Oxford more than 4 decades. No one knows the residential and condo market in Oxford better than Harry. It's a market that changes all the time. You need someone, if you're jumping into it, you need someone who knows what he or she is doing, and that person is Harry. Go to his sites, harryalexander.com. Click on the Properties and Neighborhoods tab. You can kind of filter through and play with it by what you're interested in, what you're looking for. You'll get results that are updated daily, so that is indeed what's on the market. And then send him an email. It's ha@harryalexander.com.
Okay, so real quick, we'll get back to lines in a second. The MAC schedule, does it have to be MAC, or are we looking for other conferences too, or do we really want MAC here?
I just want it to be inconvenient and preferably cold.
Okay, here's your MAC schedule for that week that Ole Miss has a bye week. You ready?
Yeah.
All right, on Thursday, October 25th, we have 2 games.
Okay.
We have Ball State at Ohio.
Okay.
And the one I'm a little scared to read you is Toledo at Western Michigan.
Ooh. That's in Kalamazoo.
That is in Kalamazoo at Waldo Stadium. You can currently get as many as 358 tickets for as little as $14.
That's good.
Toledo at Western Michigan.
That's good.
The Saturday games, midweek makes more sense, is Northern Illinois at BYU. That doesn't count.
No, that doesn't count.
Central Michigan at Akron, and Army at Eastern Michigan.
Army at Eastern Michigan. That's Ypsilanti.
Yeah, it is. I would kind of like to see a service academy. I've never seen a service academy.
Good.
Which that's not really the point, though, is it? Pleasure is not part of this.
You probably just eliminated that game from the list. All right, Kalamazoo on Thursday night is a possibility. Are we doing the funky show on the open date?
I don't know. I mean, we hadn't really got that far.
Okay.
I mean, I'm looking at other really inconvenient things. I mean, the Mountain West would be kind of inconvenient. You got Wyoming at Colorado State.
That would be fun.
So you can't. So that's no go, right? You got Utah State hosting a game, Air Force hosting a game.
Where's Utah State? That's Logan, Utah.
Utah State is Logan, Utah.
This is what bothers me about me. This is what bothers me about me. It is. I have a limited brain capacity.
Yeah, you do this,
and yet I can tell you state capitals.
I'm really good at state capitals.
And where schools are located. It's pathetic, really, that I've used so much brain power to tell you, yeah, it's Kalamazoo.
No, we know so many stupid sports things. I mean, I guess it was probably 2000. This would have probably been 2009, 10, 11, somewhere in there, when Two Stick was still on the square at the sushi place.
Yeah.
On, like, Wednesday night, they would do where you paid or whatever, and then just like most bar trivia places, you won the pot. They did sports trivia. We'd have a group with, like, me and David Brandt and stuff, and it was really almost embarrassing, the level of sports knowledge you pick up over the course of time, just on – because that would be a topic. It would be like, okay, the hot round is, okay, how many school campus cities can you name in the MAC in the next 60 seconds? And you get all of them, and you go, that's really sad, honestly, now that I'm looking back at this.
It is.
We could do so many things here, and this is where we're going.
And someone could ask you a chemistry question, and you'd be like, hydrogen?
Yeah. I don't think there's another conference that makes a lot of sense. MAC, Mountain West, Sun Belt doesn't count.
No. Sun Belt's no.
We're not and no FCS things either.
No.
You're really kind of out there. That's kind of it.
The trip to Kalamazoo makes some sense. I'm almost a little jealous of it.
Are you?
Yeah, that actually would be fun. Who is it? It's Central Michigan and Western Michigan and who? Akron.
Toledo
at Western Michigan.
Well, see,
that actually in late October might be perfect weather.
It could be perfect weather, and the other problem that you have is that I probably could call them ahead and probably get some tours and actually kind of make a day of it. Like, they probably would be very beneficial on just sort of helping me with my trip and different things.
Well, you do understand that while you can go and have a good time, part of it will be you'll have to have signs.
Yeah, I know that.
And there will be some form of costume. I'm tempted to want to go with you so that I can photograph it.
Just make a trip out of it.
Oh, why not? I'll go on a Thursday. It's Western Michigan.
You're like, make me dress up as a rocket or something since they're playing Toledo?
Ooh.
I need to shut up and get back to picks in a second.
That's a great idea. Because that would be Halloween time. October the
I'm going to stop talking. I had one more thought in my head. I'm going to shut up.
October the 25th is close enough to Halloween to justify a costume.
What is it? Is it Beauty and the Beast that has the guy that's a candle for Jason Candle? You dress up as the dude like the candle.
Just fantastic.
Yeah.
Just fantastic.
Or you dress up as, he's going to be a hot name on the coaching market. You dress up as the mascot of a team that needs a coach. And you're trying to get Jason Candle to head for the hot seat talk?
These are great ideas.
It is. I'm just telling you.
These are fantastic ideas.
All right. Mississippi State's at Kentucky this weekend. What's that line? You kind of like the Wildcats a little bit.
I like the Wildcats. I'm going to piss people off today. I think Mississippi State's for real.
They have a very, very true identity right now.
They do, and I love their schedule. And this is one of the few little possible speed bumps.
Okay.
I'm going to guess Mississippi State's a 9.5-point favorite.
It opened at 10.5, and it is sitting between 10 and 10.5 still at this time.
Okay. And I think State wins the game. In fact, I'm almost 100% certain State wins the game.
I'd feel very good about a State money line.
I feel good about the money line. This line, that Vegas, give them credit. And in the Ole Miss Alabama games proved that Vegas is not perfect. This line's about right. I like State by about 10 points.
That's fair. No line on Nebraska, Michigan. Oh, Nebraska's quarterbacks. Probable. Questionable.
Be an interesting game for. Well, it won't be because Nebraska's not good.
No, they suck.
I watched the beginning of Nebraska and Troy on Saturday.
Troy was just better. It didn't look fluky.
It's the part, Chase. It's the part that nobody wants to understand is just because the uniform says Nebraska doesn't mean the players are what Nebraska used to have.
No, Tommy Frazier not on that team.
No.
Uh,
Mike, was Irving Fryer not walking through that door? Mike Rozier either.
Mike Rozier. Kent State and Mississippi on Saturday at 11 a.m.
Well, I know the line because I saw your tweet.
It is 30. No, hold on. Yeah, it's 30. It's actually dropping, though. It's down to 27. Trying to get Ole Miss money in Vegas right now.
I think Kent's going to score points.
Yeah. Actually, in Vegas, online it opened at 30. In Vegas, it opened at 28, and it's moved to 27.5.
Okay.
So 27.5 currently is the line for Ole Miss and Kent State.
Not to get negative, but give me a number here, your initial thought. Actual attendance, not announced.
I started to
attendance.
write about it yesterday, and I just kind of ran out of room. I asked some people yesterday. I wanted some opinions.
If I were to actually stop time and count bodies in the seats at the end of the first quarter Saturday morning, so 11:50-ish, what would I count?
36,000.
Okay. I can't argue.
I mean, I said 38, and somebody thought I went too high yesterday.
Yeah, I think you're a little high at 36, but that's.
But it's half the stadium.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, I get it, but that's half the stadium. I mean, but 11 a.m. Kent State, third weekend in a row is one of the main ones, too.
And it's going to be hot.
Is it hot
again?
Saturday?
Yep.
Okay. Arkansas sucks.
Awful. They're so bad.
They're on the road at a very wounded Auburn team next week.
I'm going to guess Auburn is a 25.5 point favorite.
It opened at 24. It is still going up. Auburn currently at 27 over Arkansas.
That's a lot of points.
An SEC game, that's a ton of points.
But Arkansas is bad.
Texas Tech, huge win over Houston on Saturday.
Yeah.
They are on the road in Stillwater, Oklahoma this weekend. They are 12.5 point underdogs to the Cowboys in Stillwater this weekend.
Yeah, and I like Mike Gundy's team. You talk about a team that has an identity. Their identity is we don't GAF. And they play like it, too.
Yeah. TCU at Texas this weekend. TCU a 2-point favorite over the Longhorns on the road in Austin. Texas beat a pretty average USC team over the weekend.
Beat the out of them.
Yeah, they did. Army, speaking of, they're at Oklahoma this weekend. They are 31.5 point underdogs to the Sooners in Norman this weekend.
I was outside. I was grilling some Saturday morning, and I had Oklahoma, Iowa State on the TV. Oklahoma's really athletic. I know it's a shocker to people. It's almost like they've recruited well year after year.
Yeah, they're okay. It didn't all fall apart when Baker Mayfield moved on.
They're really talented. They're not as good as Alabama, but they're talented.
Louisiana Tech at LSU. No longer a question mark on this one.
What's Louisiana Tech's record?
Hold on.
I'm trying not to accidentally stumble across lines and cheat.
Yeah, hold on. Louisiana Tech. They played their last game. They beat Southern A&M. Who the hell is that?
I don't have any idea.
54-17.
I know they beat South Alabama to open the season.
It's Southern University. It's the Jaguars.
Okay.
They are 2-0. They beat South Al 30-26 and then beat them. They had a bye week this last week.
As I said in 10 Thoughts, I was wrong about LSU. I was dead wrong. Kudos to LSU.
They are 9-2 overall and 7-1 in the SEC in their last 11 games.
Yeah, I was wrong. Congratulations to Ed Orgeron, to the people there. I was wrong. You can continue to send me my emails and tell me that I was wrong. I acknowledge that I was wrong. I will say that LSU is a 30-point favorite over Tech.
Much lower than that. They're at 21 right now.
I'm tempted to lay them.
Over Tech. 21 is the current line there. It went from 22 to 21 so far. By the way, all the snowflakes go away somewhere that have issues with Ed Orgeron cussing in a locker room after a game. Give me a break.
Yeah, stop.
AL.com trying to make a deal out of that. Do you? Please. Thank you. Thank you, AL.com, for continuing to be complete and utter idiots. Baylor, 9.5 point favorites over a suddenly resurgent Kansas Jayhawks team right now. They winning some games, doing some things. South Carolina on the road. I did not have this pointed as an interesting game. I do now after the way the home team played on Saturday. Carolina on the road in Nashville Saturday.
Ooh.
Kind of a fun game here at 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
That's not bad.
This is the second game of the day on the SEC Network on Saturday.
Am I crazy that my initial thought is Vanderbilt's going to win?
Vanderbilt played really hard against Notre Dame on Saturday. I watched a lot of that football game. Frankly, they turned the ball over. They would have won. They were better than Notre Dame on Saturday on that one day.
I'm going to say Carolina's a 3.5-point favorite.
It's very close. It opened at 2.5. It has stayed at 2.5. Carolina minus 2.5 at Vanderbilt right now.
Yeah, I got it.
I'd like to have that extra point. 2.5 and 3.5 makes me change my mind a little bit, but
Could be a really competitive game.
yeah, we'll see what happens.
And
there.
if it is, for the people that are doing the Ole Miss projections, everybody giving Ole Miss Vanderbilt all offseason, I did too.
Oh yeah,
I've now taken it out of, if this were election night,
back into the toss-up market.
yeah, we've taken it off the board as a going one way or the other, and it's back in the too close to call.
Yeah. Speaking of Troy, they're at ULM this week. They are 7-point favorites over the Warhawks on Saturday in Monroe. North Texas, we talked about a minute ago, they play Liberty. They'll win again this weekend.
Yes, they will.
They got some top 25 votes this week.
They just popped Arkansas.
Arkansas is an untalented team that also is playing with an identity that does not fit its roster. And
Did
this
you
is
see
what you get.
Tom Murphy, who's been on this podcast,
He has. Yeah,
friend of mine, covers Arkansas for the Arkansas Democrat Gazette.
he does.
Great guy. Tom put out a tweet at halftime, beginning of the third quarter, actually, of Arkansas, North Texas. Did you see the crowd at that stadium?
I did. Yeah, you showed it to me.
That's a big stadium.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful stadium. And it was a fourth full.
Yeah, about right. Georgia, who still just keeps winning, they are on the road this week. I don't think it's an interesting game, but it's still a game nonetheless. In Columbia, Missouri, the Georgia Bulldogs at Missouri this weekend.
I'm going to guess Georgia's a 15.5-point favorite.
You've been really good on lines today. It's at 14 and it stayed at 14 here, Georgia.
Well,
and
we're
Missouri.
at the point of the year where there's some data.
You know who everybody is. It's
Yeah.
it's all good. At least public perception wise, we know who everybody is.
I'm going to guess my initial thought is that Georgia absolutely pops Missouri.
Think so. I think I buy that too.
And I hope not. I like Missouri. They're fun. Drew Lock's fun. He's good.
Did you get your bobblehead?
Not yet. And I'm
Still hadn't come yet?
getting a little antsy.
Yeah.
It's almost like Drew's not going to get my I don't have a Heisman vote.
I'm not going to get your I don't have a Heisman vote.
I want to vote for Drew Lock. If you're listening, Missouri, come on. Put that thing in the mail. And they've got a spot waiting for it.
You do. It's right over there.
Oh, it's going to get the middle row. It's going to get an ideal spot.
Yeah, right under your balls. A&M on the road this weekend in Tuscaloosa.
All three of them.
Yeah, A&M on the road at Alabama this weekend. The Crimson Tide hosting the Aggies. Jimbo headed to Tuscaloosa.
Yeah.
Jimbo's ride's going to end this Saturday.
Probably going to be a little humbling. It's right around 4 touchdowns, I'd guess. I'll say A&M's a 27.5-point dog.
Opened at 23. It's now at 24.5. It's going up a little bit, but still a good bit lower than 4 touchdowns.
Okay.
Don't know what I'm doing there. I got to look at that one a little while.
If you told me A&M went in there and gave them 2.5 quarters of a game, I'd buy it.
This means nothing, but other than the Manziel years, Alabama just beats the crap out of A&M every time. Like, that was that 55-0 game or whatever a few years ago. Like, there's years where they just kill them. I mean,
And I'm going to tell you this. From what I saw Saturday night, this is Nick Saban's best team at Alabama. They don't have a weakness. And Tua is special.
well, it's kind of like you said, and I understand why this would be eye-rolling to a lot of people, but their attention to detail, they left Vaught-Hemingway 40 minutes after the end of that game. I know people don't cover it. You don't realize this. That's half the time that teams typically take to get out of there after games.
We were leaving Ole Miss's media stuff, going to the field to tape our instant analysis.
The instant analysis.
And they were gone.
The buses were pulling out onto Gertrude Ford at that moment.
They were gone.
It was strange.
Impressive.
It was just really weird almost.
They are a machine. They are a robotic, heartless, soulless machine. I say that I say that. They actually showed some compassion Saturday night. All jokes aside.
Nick likes Matt.
Question.
Yeah.
Put you on the spot.
Sure. You already want me to dress up like a Roman candle here in a few weeks.
It was your idea.
I'm just talking and I can't shut up. I know.
It was a great idea. Now you're a Roman candle's even better. With face paint and the whole deal. Oh, my God. It's going to be great.
Stay away from the face paint at least.
It's going to be great. Oh, it's going to be awesome. If Hugh Freeze were standing on that sideline Saturday night, what's the final score?
It's run up.
I understand. They got 62 with the guy that he likes and respects on the other sideline.
Well, I told you, I don't think Tua plays longer. I do think Jalen plays longer, just my opinion. It's in the 80s, at least. I think.
Tend to agree.
Yeah.
Adds at least 14 more.
If you're one of the ones coming into town this weekend, Oxford Wine and Spirits, located next to Lost Pizza on College Hill Road. Place you go. Pick up some product. Have a good time this weekend, responsibly, of course. Noah and I in there regularly. Talked to them last Friday about a number of different items in there to pick up. They've got some new bourbon and whatnot as well. So head on over to Oxford Wine and Spirits, 5% lower than industry standards. And you spend $150 or more. Tell them about the podcast, 5% off wine, 10% off liquor at Oxford Wine and Spirits.
They didn't have Benedictine. Maybe
they did not have Benedictine.
Maybe I can get Cass and the gang to order some Benedictine.
Probably can.
Jonathan Howard told me he'd get me a good bottle.
Did he?
He did. I got some mezcal on Friday, and I wanted to.
Yeah, you were a bit of a complicated drinker on Friday, as you had picked up mezcal and was trying to find liqueurs to match.
Yeah, I was kind of in a mood.
Oxford's not a mezcal town, so I had a hard time procuring a bottle of Benedictine for you on the weekend.
I had a little wild hair. It happens. Podcast also brought to you by Oxford University Bank, OUB, locally owned and operated right here in Oxford. When you deposit money at OUB, that money and the vast majority of the bank's profits go right back into the Oxford community. OUB gives you the comfort of home, all the benefits the big mega banks provide, all the technology and products you can want, all with the personal touch. When you call OUB, you speak directly with the live person, all without having to press 10 buttons without a 5-minute wait. OUB offers its customers the absolute best cash checking accounts called Kasasa. And with Kasasa, OUB will pay customers 2.5% interest on their balances up to $50,000 and refund ATM fees nationwide. To learn more about OUB, check out liveoxfordbankoxford.com or call 662-234-6668. OUB is FDIC insured. Podcast also brought to you by 7 South Tailgating. 7 South celebrating 10 years of business this season. Another tailgating opportunity this weekend with Kent State coming to town. Coach O'Sullivan and the gang there at Kent State coming in. You want to tailgate and get ready for them. Tailgate with them once. You'll never tailgate without them again. 7 South will set up your own personal gear, or you can rent everything from them. No one matches their customer service, their attention to detail. 7southtailgating.com. And we're brought to you by Megan Phillips with LAH Real Estate. She's the person to call for all your real estate needs in the Birmingham, Alabama area. With almost a decade of experience, Megan's knowledge and expertise can help you buy or sell your home today. So please visit her website at meganmphillips.com. That's MEAGANM Phillips.com. Or call Megan at 205-602-7929. Again, 205-602-7929.
Kind of close up today's show. We'll have plenty more throughout the week. Again, Matt Luke talking today at 11:30. He'll give some updates as far as, I guess, who steps in for Montrell Custis the rest of the way.
Sure.
There's now two players in the secondary out for the season with he and Jalen Jones.
I mean, it's Dasher starts.
Both ACLs.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I thought for a minute you were saying.
No, just one knee. As far as
holy
I'm
hell.
concerned. No.
What
about the dude, real quick, we'll in here. What about the dude for the Bills that just quit at halftime yesterday? I'm out.
Just retired. And then put out a big tweet about announcing his retirement.
They talked to the linebacker, I can't remember his name, for the Bills yesterday, who was like, I've never seen anything like that. Like,
yeah, he just said he wasn't.
Dude came in the locker room, changed out of his uniform, put his clothes on, and walked out. Peace.
Be a hard time getting another gig.
Oh, you're done. Come on. Even if you finish the game, and if you go on Monday, go, look, guys, my heart's not in it. Because he signed like a $5 million deal in the offseason.
Did he have to play a certain amount for it to be guaranteed?
More than 3/4, you would think.
One would guess.
But I don't know. There's just better ways to handle that. Just play one more half and then call it a day.
Well, yeah, I don't know.
Seriously.
That's not a game to play if your heart's not in it.
Well, no, I get that. I understand that. But either figure that out before you get to the park on Saturday or finish the game and then walk into the dude's office. Because I think the coach basically had no comment. And he was like, all right, we'll figure this out later. But now, look, the Bills are horrid.
They're bad.
And as Dylan said yesterday, the Browns are playing Tyrod Taylor on purpose. Like, they're paying this guy to play quarterback. I know he made the big play to Callaway at the end when the Saints did what the Saints do, which is give up touchdowns in the final seconds of games now. But
you're already so bitter.
Oh, I'm so pissed.
You're 2 games in to a 16-game season, and you are so bitter.
I am showing what Ole Miss baseball fans are going to act like mid-March, aren't I? Like, when they're like, I'm going to write a story one day and be like, hey, they're 22-6, and everybody goes, I don't care.
You're like me in April when the Cubs lose 3 in a row, and it's like, I know this is nonsensical. I can't stop myself.
Well,
I've already congratulated the Brewers on the division championship.
I have Schadenfreude for every time something bad happens to Marcus Williams, even though he's still on my team and is playing. Like, it just drives me nuts. But point being, Taylor completely freaked out at the end of that game yesterday and allowed the Saints to win. He was awful. I mean, he does nothing for them. I don't know if Baker Mayfield's ready or not ready, but he had to be better than that yesterday. He was terrible.
They don't want to win now.
Well, they're not.
Go another year.
Don't worry about it.
They want to wait another year.
Okay. The beer in the fridge is staying locked for a while with Cleveland, I think. You know, they got the victory fridges all over Cleveland.
Yeah, it's going to be a little while.
Ready to open as soon as I guess they replace it once the beer goes bad? Come in during the week?
It's a good question.
All right. Podcast tomorrow. Plenty more throughout the week on the network and at rebelgrove.com. Talk to you then.